Started. Hello all, very good evening. So today I'll be discussing the next 85 days, how you should be actually moving with this next 85 days. Usually I do not do this kind of sessions, but however I had to meet multiple students and I have to repeat the same thing multiple times, so that's why I decided why not just get it recorded and put it on YouTube so that everybody can watch as per their own convenience. So for all the students who are expecting to qualify prelims and are supposed to write mains, so this next 85 days will be the most crucial time, and you just cannot afford to waste your time, and you have to make sure that each and every day is utilized in the most perfect manner. Okay, so every hour, every single minute is very important. Now if I talk about this 85 days, karna kya hai, how to manage it. So first thing that we need to discuss, means everybody will not be in the same condition, okay, that not everybody would have finished the syllabus, not everybody would have the notes. So different people might be at a different stage of preparation, and that's why this strategy might not uniformly be applicable to all of them. So here I'll just like to tell that the first priority is this syllabus completion. So for all those students who basically have not completed syllabus or have not given one single reading of the syllabus of GS or optional, in that case आप कुछ मत करो, just stop this video right now and just start preparing for your syllabus. Okay, just start covering the syllabus. Okay, now I have met multiple students who basically told me that I have read but there is no notes. मैंने कोई notes नहीं बनाए हैं, I do not have any source to refer, I have just read from here and there. Okay, now in this scenario also the priority should be not to go for note making, because note making is a too extensive exercise and it will not be finished in this 80-85 days, right? So the best thing is to take some toppers notes. अब कोई नए notes बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है. If you are writing the mains this year, then what you should be doing is take some toppers notes and just use it as your own notes for the time being. Okay, and इसमें थोड़े बहुत value addition आप कर सकते हो, or you can then, if you have your notes ready, or if you have read the sources, you have made your notes in GS and optional both, in that case you should be sticking to your notes and don't switch from your notes, because moving to new notes is actually very much cumbersome, and in that case the बहुत ज़्यादा chances हैं कि you might not be able to adjust. तो सबसे पहली priority is syllabus completion. अगर आपका syllabus complete नहीं है, there is no point of joining any test series, there is no point of joining any crash course program, क्योंकि आपने पहली बार पढ़ा ही नहीं है, तो then it will be a waste of time, money and effort. Okay, so finish the syllabus first. Then along with the syllabus, what needs to be done in the order or in priority is last 5 years PYQ. This is the most important thing, because this 5 years PYQ will be a kind of guiding light whether you are moving in the right direction or not. If you are if you are able to solve all the PYQs, in that case there is that's a sign that आपकी जो तैयारी है, आपका जो content है, that is well ready made, or say it's ready for your mains. But suppose if you are reading something and with that particular content you are not able to solve the PYQs, that means आपका content इस लायक का है ही नहीं कि PYQs उसे address हो पा रहे हैं. That means content lacks something. So PYQs should be your guiding light. Okay. Other than that, आपको कोई और content की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आपके content से PYQ हो रहा है तो आप कुछ भी मत पढ़ो. That's more than enough. And then the third one, but of the least priority, it's test series. Okay, now test series can help you in some amount of value addition, very insignificant amount of value addition maybe, and some amount of time management, and also some amount of scheduling. So it can actually, मतलब ये आपको सबसे last priority होनी चाहिए. Once you are done with the syllabus and once you have done PYQs, then only you can think of going for test series, else there is no point of joining the test series also. Okay, So how to actually divide this time with respect to in order to sync your preparation with respect to test series and PYQs. So a rough timetable is something like this. The next 85 days can be divided into 4 major phases. The first one is 45 days from now, then second 20 days, third 13 days, and the last one 7 days. Now in the first phase, 50% of your time daily should go for GS and 50% of your time daily should go for anthropology, or say whatever optional you have. Now why I'm saying, say suppose उस case में अगर आप if you're reading 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 hours should be for GS and 6 hours should be for anthro. That is how the day should be divided. Now first I'll talk about the strategy related to optional, what you should be doing here, and then I'll be talking about the strategy related to GS that you should be doing. So the time period should be 50-50%. Now in case of anthro, suppose you subscribe to a test series, आपके notes बने हुए हैं, and you have read the paper once और एक दो बार आपने पढ़ा हुआ है. Now you want to actually do the answer writing. So in that case, you can subscribe to a test series. Suppose the test series first test syllabus is unit 1, 2, 3, 4. Just revise these units. पहले sectional test का revise करना है, and then just look for 5 years PYQ for these units. Whatever PYQs are there from these units, that should be done. Now it might happen that some of the questions might be too straightforward and that might be directly from your content, and in that case आपको वो questions attempt करने की कोई ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. Okay, you can just write a structure and that's it, because that's a too straightforward a question and आप उसको practice करो नहीं करो, eventually you will be able to recall it in the exam. Okay, but any question from the PYQs, if you are finding that it is relatively complicated, थोड़ा analytical है, or it is actually asked linking two variables, you have studied them separately, but उसको कभी connect नहीं किया है. In all such cases, you should be attempting those questions. Okay, so that you should have a clarity of thought that how these two variables are linked and how such kind of analytical questions should be attempted. So then, so revise these units, solve 5 years PYQ from these units, and then you should be attempting the respective test, because before solving PYQs there is no point of attempting the sectional test, क्योंकि आपकी ना speed बनेगी ना आपका coherence आएगा, and you will feel more and more demotivated after attempting the sectional test because you will not be able to finish the paper. Okay, so revise 5 years PYQ and then attempting the test, and whatever value addition that you are getting from the test or discussions, you can add it to your content, right? And this is how you should be moving in this the first 45 days, that every week, every 7 days, you should be finishing some units and try to attempt all the sectional tests. For example, in case of anthropology test series here in LevelUp, so we have 6 sectional tests, and that can be done with a gap of 1 week, and all the 6 sectional tests can be finished in the first 45 days, and that would mark the first revision of your optional in the first 45 days. Okay, now coming to the second phase, you will have to increase the time given to GS. So 60% of your time should go for GS and 40% of your time that should go for anthropology. So imagining that you are reading 10 to 12 hours a day again, so 4 to 5 hours of time daily should be given to anthropology. Okay, now 4 to 5, अभी आपने just एक elaborated revision किया है anthro का, sectional test दिए हैं. Now what you have to do, like in the 8 to 9 or 10 days, you can go for a paper 1 revision and attempt the full length test paper, and correspondingly in the next 10 days you should go for paper 2 revision and should attempt the full length test paper of paper 2. Okay, now this marks the second revision of your anthropology. Okay, next 13 days, 70 to 75% of your time should be going for GS, and 25 to 30% of your time that should go for your optional. Here in this case, that is anthropology. Okay, so approximately 3 to 4 hours a day you will be giving to anthro. And if you see, in the last 60-65 days, you have been doing anthro, writing the test, revising PYQs and all. So you have given a significant 2 times revision of anthropology. So here in this phase, you need to go for one quick revision of anthro. One quick revision, as if that some parts of anthropology or some any optional in that case, you would feel that कि इसको थोड़ा सा एक बार और देख लेते हैं. Some questions or some definitions you are forgetting, some fossils that you need to revise again and again, some archaeological sites you feel that कि एक बार और revise कर ले, some theories you feel that कि एक बार और revise कर ले. So that topic should be taken again or say revise again. So you should go or skim through the entire paper in a very quick manner, say in the 13 days. Okay, and here just to make sure that you write something. So what you can do is, since you have attempted the sectional test and the full length test, so you must be by choice you have left 3 questions in each of the test paper. Okay, and those 3 questions are those which you must have felt कि ये मेरे को कम आता है. I knew less or I was not very much clear about those concepts. अब ये वाले questions should not remain unattended. Usually क्या होता है कि हम test paper attempt करते हैं, we choose or we pick up the 5 questions and we leave the 3 questions. And वो वाले weak topic रहते हैं and बाद में हम उसको ध्यान भी नहीं देते तो वो हमेशा के लिए weak रह जाते हैं. So all the questions in the test papers, previous test papers that you attempted, you have actually left it. You should be attempting those questions. So you must be having some model answers, you must be having some discussion say content. You can use that content, you can use the model answers to attempt those 3 remaining questions. Okay, and that is how the third revision can actually be done, and that is how the anthropology, say all the units, the PYQs, the test papers have been actually covered in say in this 70-80 days. Okay, for the last 7 days 100% of your time should go for GS. Okay, because just after 7 days you are supposed to write the essay and GS1 and GS2 ka paper. Okay, now one thing more. Suppose if you want to attend a test of anthropology, so आपने कोई test series join किया and you want to attend the test, so that day usually what happens कि जब हम घर से निकलते हैं test देने के लिए, तो test देने के बाद we feel like कि the brain has got drained off, brain has got exhausted, and अब उस दिन पूरा दिन कुछ करने का मन नहीं कर रहा है. So that particular day what you can do is to utilize that day fully. You can schedule a GS test as well. तो कभी भी सिर्फ एक टेस्ट देने के लिए घर से नहीं निकलना है. So you should be syncing your GS test papers along with the anthro test papers as well. Okay, and here what you can do is कि आपने 9 to 12 suppose करो GS का टेस्ट पेपर दिया and 2 से 5 आपने anthro का टेस्ट दे दिया, so that the entire day can be utilized fully. और suppose अगर ऐसा नहीं भी हो पा रहा है कि आप GS और anthro के टेस्ट को sync कर पा रहे हो, the syllabus is not matching or something like that is happening, in such cases अगर आपने आज के दिन anthro का टेस्ट दिया, you can use that day to read for essay, because I don't believe that essay के लिए कोई अलग से एक दिन निकालेगा कि आज सुबह उठूंगा और आज essay के लिए पढ़ाई करूंगा, because there is no well defined syllabus, there is no well defined literature or say content that can be read for essay. So what I believe and what I have done in my attempts, which has fetched me some decent score in essay every time, what you can do is, जिस दिन आपने anthro का टेस्ट दिया या GS का कोई टेस्ट दिया, after you go back home, just pick up last 3 years paper of essay, and these 3 years paper will have around 24 topics or 24 topics in total. So 2 section होते हैं, every section has 4 topics, so 3 साल के हिसाब से there are 24 topics. Just pick up any 2-3 topics from any year, and those 2-3 topics से क्या करना है, just go for a Google search or maybe some YouTube videos, say some TED talks, some motivational lectures, anything that is related to that particular topic, and prepare a good intro and conclusion for that topic. Okay, now philosophical topics अभी इधर आ रहे हैं, and that is the major concern for the students on how to write essay on philosophical topics. सबसे बेस्ट तरीका ये है कि 10-12 फिलोसॉफिकल टॉपिक्स का जो डिफरेंट फिलोसफीज हैं उनके ऊपर एक अच्छा इंट्रो कंक्लूजन लिख लेना, बिकॉज इफ यू एनालाइज दिस फिलोसॉफिकल टॉपिक्स यू विल फाइंड दैट द की element or say the key theme behind that philosophical topic is more or less same. The quote might differ. So the key theme might be purpose in life. The key theme might be identity of an individual. The key theme might be spirituality versus materialism. The key theme might be courage, motivation, okay, or desire. So इस तरीके के major single keywords हैं that is basically being asked in philosophical essays, but by some kind of quotations only. So just take out those quotations. आप देखोगे डेफिनेटली कोई किसी ने इस पे ब्लॉग लिखा होगा, किसी ने इस पे टेड टॉक दी होगी, किसी का मोटिवेशनल लेक्चर होगा, something like might be there, and you can just pick up intro lines and conclusion lines which can be replicated in the exam. Once you are done with this 10-20 intros and conclusion, okay, now what you can do is just take out any random question paper of essay, and then what you can do, just choose out those topic जिसमें आपने जो intro conclusion prepare किया है वो fit बैठ रहा है. Because once you are done with the intro conclusion, 50% of the essay work is done. Majority of the problem in the essay writing comes with how to start an essay or how to begin an essay and how to end it. Once you are very much clear about it, body में तो कोई problem ही नहीं है essay के. In the body, you can think on multiple dimensions based on your subjects in the GS papers. Okay, you can think historical dimensions, you can think of geographical dimensions, you can think of social dimensions. Social dimensions में caste, class, region, religion, language, women, old, young, or kids, say family, globalization, industrialization, urbanization, poverty, health, education. These are all dimensions from the paper 1 that you can think of in these dimensions. Then you can think about political dimension, then you can think about the administrative dimension, you can think about the social justice dimension or governance dimension, then economic dimension, then you can think about scientific dimension, security dimensions, environmental dimensions, and then moral or ethical dimensions of that particular topic. And once you think around these lines, you can actually come up with some of the pointers to elaborate that essay. Problem is not with respect to the body. The problem always comes in the intro and the conclusion. And if you have some kind of templates for intros and conclusions, say 10-15 templates that you remember, I can bet upon this that उन 10-15 में से कोई ना कोई तो एग्जाम में फिट बैठ ही जाएगा. You would not feel blank in the exam hall. But वो intro conclusion एग्जाम में नहीं बनते हैं. It has to be prepared well before the exam itself, and that is what you can do. Just take 2-3 topics any day that you don't want to study or जिस दिन आप टेस्ट दे के आए हो, and in that day what you can do, just intro conclusion बना के रख लो, and that will definitely help you to get a decent score. And moreover, intro and conclusion are the most important aspect of an essay, because the first impression is created by the intro only. अगर आपका intro बहुत ही ज़्यादा flat है, बहुत ही ज़्यादा redundant है, in that case the first impression is bad. No matter how good the body is, when the first impression has gone wrong, तो आपका score above average नहीं जाएगा. Okay. And if your intro is good, even if your body is average, the moment the body ends, जैसे जैसे वो body बढ़ता जा रहा है वो average भी है. Intro से अच्छा impression बना, body average है, but जैसे जैसे impression खत्म होने लगेगा तब तक conclusion आ जाएगा, and the conclusion will be reinforcing that good impression. So that's why your entry and the exit should be the best one. Okay. And अच्छा intro conclusion exam hall में तो नहीं बनेगा. Unless and until you have a literature degree or you have like good writing practice, आप columns वगैरह लिखते हो तो अलग बात है. तो यहाँ पे आपको 10-15 templates of intro and conclusion which usually will fit in the exam hall, आपको ये बना लेना चाहिए पहले से ही. And if you do so, I cannot say that your score will be the highest, but it will be at least above average in essay for sure. Essay will not be an obstacle for you. So this is what you should be doing with respect to essay. Now with respect to GS, again going back to the 4 phase. So in the first phase I told you that 50% of your time should go for GS, second 60% of your time should go for GS, third 70 to 75% should go for GS, and the last phase 100% of your time should go for GS. Okay, here in this case what you should do mainly is that start with those topics that you have not prepared for prelims or that were not the part of prelim syllabus, okay, in the order of their importance. So first thing that you should begin with is ethics. Definitely आपके notes बने होंगे, else किसी topper के notes उठा के you can actually refer to them, and randomly कोई भी source नहीं उठाना है. What, just pick up one source and just to do the value addition, go with last 5 years question paper. Because in case of ethics, the question gets repeated. So in, say suppose आप ethics के 5 साल के paper देख रहे हो, every year 7 case studies are coming up. Now in total there are 35 case studies in last 5 years, and they have possibly asked all the dilemmas, ethical dilemmas that can ever happen in the life of a man. There cannot be a 36th condition. All the 35 conditions have been asked more or less. अब जो नए questions भी आएंगे, they will have the same kind of ethical dilemma. And once you are done with this, आपको बस story बदल जाएगी, character का नाम बदल जाएगा, but more or less the essence of the case study will be same. So once you are done with the 5 years case study, आपको कुछ ज़्यादा नया करने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. Okay. So whenever you are revising ethics, just make sure that you are able to solve the last 5 years questions from ethics, specifically the case study. Because case study आपको पूरा पढ़ने की जगह, suppose if you have read the PYQs, आप कोई नई case study पढ़ोगे, you will, in the half of it you will get an idea कि ये कौन से case study से match कर रही है. You can just quote that particular idea and it can save you a lot of time, right? So then you should read Indian society. So yes, for ethics approximately 10 days, given 6 hours a day, so you will be giving 10 days. Then Indian society, it will take 6 to 7 days in total. Again remember, you should check whether are you able to solve the 5 years PYQs with your existing content. Okay, now what you should do, social justice, governance and IR. Here the notes will be very much मतलब short notes होंगे आप लोगों के पास या class notes वगैरह जो भी होंगे, that will not be too heavy. So it can actually be done in 3 to 4 days, 1 day for each. And what you can do, just give 1 day solely for addressing the 5 years PYQ from these topics. So social justice से क्या क्या सवाल पूछे गए हैं, IR से more or less हर साल 2-3 सवाल आ रहे हैं IR से, and in the last 5 years they have covered all the major international relation dimensions that is important for India. Okay, so एक बार South Asia का पूछ लिया है, अमेरिका का पूछ रखा है, चाइना का पूछ रखा है, रशिया का पूछ रखा है, डायस्पोरा के ऊपर भी सवाल पूछ रखा है. So if you are able to solve all those 5 years PYQ related to IR, your work is done. More or less इन्हीं में से कुछ घुमा घुमा के पूछेंगे. तो अब हो सकता है this time they might come up with a question related to Maldives, or broadly they can ask small countries in the Indian Ocean. Okay, or maybe neighboring countries के साथ अपना IR क्या. But more or less ये अभी तक पिछले 5 साल में पूछ ही चुके हैं. अगर आपके पास एक well defined structure है तो you can just quote it back and it can save you time and it will give you more confidence when you see or attempt these kind of questions in the mains exam. Okay, then what you should do, internal security and disaster management. This will also take 3 to 4 days along with the 5 years PYQ. Okay, the last one is world history and post independence. Now usually world history and post independence, they are something which I would not advise the people जिनके notes वगैरह नहीं बने हुए हैं to do it, because they are too bulky and with very less return on investment. हर साल alternatively year one question is coming from each of them. अब मार्केट में कई सारे ऐसे notes हैं, some of the toppers notes that is like compiled for world history, hardly 20-25 pages में this world history and PI post independence के notes available हैं. You can take those notes and just value add कैसे करना है last 5 years PYQ के साथ. So whatever questions have been asked in the last 5 years, you can just do the value addition from those notes. Okay, that's it. And इसके beyond आपको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, because return on investment is very less. Every year one question hardly is coming from either of the topics. Okay, so this will altogether take 30 days only. Okay, if you see ethics 10 days, 6 to 7 days and 3 to 4 days, so overall 30 days लगेंगे. So in the next 15 days from the first phase and 20 days from the second phase, total 35 days, what you should do, you should then start revising the entire GS in sequence. So GS1, So GS1 में you have revised this Indian society, world history and post independence. So what is left is modern India and ancient medieval art and culture. तो जो आप लोगों ने प्रीलिम्स के लिए 2-3 बार कम से कम रिवाइज किया होगा. So just revise GS1 and it will take around 7 days and then you should be doing the value addition with 5 years PYQ. आपके कंटेंट से 5 साल के PYQ सॉल्व होने चाहिए. इफ यू आर एबल टू डू सो, योर कंटेंट इज द मोस्ट कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव कंटेंट, इसके बियॉन्ड आपको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. एंड देन सब्सिक्वेंटली यू शुड गो बाय GS2. सिर्फ पॉलिटी वाला पार्ट बताया बिकॉज यू हैव रिवाइज सोशल जस्टिस, गवर्नेंस एंड IR. सो अगेन इट विल टेक 4 to 5 days to revise entire polity and then you can just do some kind of value addition by solving the last 5 years PYQ. Because more or less polity में भी the content gets repeated. So हर साल there will be a question on center-state relation. Now one year they might ask on governor का role. One year they might ask कि UT का administration कैसे हो रहा है, and some other cases they might ask special status to states and all. So every year one question is coming from center state. अगर आप 5 साल कर रहे हो तो center state के almost सारे themes आपके cover हो जाते हैं. And more or less उसी में से कुछ आएगा depending upon whatever the issue was in news in recent time. But मुद्दा तो वही है center state का. Judgments are the same. So if you have done the last 5 years question, you will have all those templates available to solve those questions. Okay. Then GS3, I would rather say that it should get around 15 to 20 days here. Why? Because अभी recently economic survey और budget release होने वाला है. Okay, and that economic survey alone will actually constitute a large part of the paper GS3. हर chapter में से एक सवाल आ जाता है. The entire economics के question काफी कुछ economic survey से data quote करना पड़ता है. तो तब तक say in the last phase you will see multiple YouTube videos. They are actually discussing the summary of economic survey will be available. You can just go through them. Just add whatever relevant data that you are getting from the economic survey in your GS3 notes. Okay. And that is how this 20 days plus 45 days should be done, in which one revision of GS1, 2, 3 and ethics has been done properly along with the last 5 years paper. Okay. Now in the last 20 days, 13 days and 7 days, you should then start with revision of GS4, beginning with GS4. Okay. 5 days for GS4, then 5 days again for GS3, one revision. And the last 10 days for GS2 and GS1 respectively, because ultimately आपका पहला पेपर GS2 और GS1 का आएगा. So last 10 days should be given to this, and that is how you should be dividing your GS का timetable. Okay. So if you do so, if you follow this strategy, again you are doing an effective 2 times revision in the 80-85 days. Okay, along with syncing it with last 5 years paper. So this is related to the time division for 85 days. आप अपने हिसाब से इसको tweak कर सकते हो based on you might have some weaknesses in some subject. आपको उसको ज़्यादा टाइम लगे, कुछ आपके subjects बहुत अच्छे तरीके से तैयार होंगे, तो you can actually tweak it and just mold it as per your own convenience. Next thing what I want to discuss is what should not be done right now. मतलब कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी that I believe it is more important to tell. The first thing that is, don't pick up new sources. So this is the best time to launch the new sources. This is the best time to actually cash upon it, because everybody is fearful कि मेरी ये preparation सही है या नहीं है, whether I am doing right, whether am I missing it. So FOMO factor सबसे ज़्यादा high होता है, and at that point of time you are most vulnerable to fall for a trap. And इस case में anybody can actually convince you कि मेरे material पढ़ लो, and you can actually get, or all the questions from last year mains actually came from my notes and so on so forth, and you can actually fall into their trap. अभी problem ये है कि the material is infinite. Even if you read n number of material, you will not have a feeling that I have done a comprehensive preparation for UPSC. तो उस case में never ever fall for new sources. Whatever you have, the basic sources, class notes और जो भी notes आपने prepare किए, if you want to do any value addition, that should always be guided by last 5 years question paper. तो जो भी पिछले 5 साल के क्वेश्चन पेपर में आपके नोट से नहीं हो पा रहा है, उस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक के लिए कंटेंट सर्च करो और उसको अपने नोट्स में डाल दो. दैट्स इट. एंड दैट इज हाउ योर नोट्स कैन बी मेड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव रादर देन लीविंग ऑल टुगेदर योर नोट्स एंड पिकिंग अप ऑल टुगेदर इन न्यू मटेरियल. उसके साथ सिंक बनाने में, उसके कंटेंट के साथ एडजस्ट करने में इट विल टेक ए लॉट ऑफ टाइम. सेकेंड, do not join multiple test series or do not join a very long test series. Okay, पहला तो क्या होता है कि लोग 3-3, 4-4 जगह पे टेस्ट सीरीज ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं कि हर दिन टेस्ट सीरीज और मल्टीपल टेस्ट सीरीज इज जस्ट लाइक जिम मेंबरशिप. ओके, सो व्हेन यू गो टू ज्वाइन अ जिम, तो नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि वो बोलता है कि 1 महीने का 2,000 रुपये लगेगा, बट आप पूरे ईयर के ले लोगे तो आपको 15,000 रुपये में दे दूंगा. एंड यू बिलीव दैट कि यार अब तो जिम आया ही हूं तो आर्नोल्ड श्वार्ज़नेगर बन के ही निकलूंगा वहां से. एंड यू बिलीव दैट ईयर लॉन्ग मेंबरशिप ले लूंगा, और कई बार 3 साल की मेंबरशिप देते हैं, 3 साल की ले ली जाती है. बट द पर्सन डज नॉट गोज टू द जिम इवन फॉर ए वीक एंड दैट एंटायर मनी, दैट एंटायर एफर्ट गोज वेस्ट. कुछ नहीं होता है. So never ever join multiple test series. If you want to write, and writing should be done, it should mainly be focused upon last 5 years question. अगर आप last 5 years के question भी देखोगे for GS से हर पेपर का अगर last 5 years देख रहे हो तो that makes 100 questions for each paper. That makes total 400 questions for GS only. Okay, and with respect to Anthro, it will make 280 questions. That is paper 1, paper 2 combined. Every paper contains 28 questions. So total 10 papers, 280 questions. So you already have a 680 questions to attempt. If you have attempted this, then you can join a test series. If you have the capacity to attempt beyond that, then you can think of joining a test series. And any test series that you join, whether for GS or anthropology, it should not be too big. ऐसा नहीं कि 20-20 टेस्ट वाली टेस्ट सीरीज ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं. Just at max 7 to 8 टेस्ट in anthro, 7 to 8 टेस्ट in GS. That's more than enough. वो भी शायद ही कंप्लीट होगी. Okay. Third, do not fall in the sense of perfection or sense of completion. This is the biggest trap for the students. Sense of perfection, कि I should be writing the perfect answer, I should be having the perfect content. It will never happen. Even if I give you 10 years to prepare for UPSC, the 10th year also from now, your condition will be what it is right now. कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं बदलेगा. The syllabus will evolve, the conditions will evolve, and that's why sense of perfection तो कभी नहीं होना चाहिए कि that my answer should be perfect, or sense of completion also. The condition will, the syllabus will never be 100% complete for anyone, and that's why it should never, or you should never actually fall into that trap, because when you do so, you might end up taking some kind of decisions which might not be in your favor. Okay, you end up subscribing multiple courses, you end up subscribing multiple test series, which you are not able to take any kind of advantage. Ultimately, multiple courses, multiple test series, multiple content might unnecessarily confuse you. और हो सकता है कि आप कुछ भी ना पढ़ो. The entire thing gets left out. So whatever you need to do, simply again repeating the same thing. अपने कंटेंट और अपने कंटेंट में जो भी वैल्यू ऐड करना है, दैट शुड बी फ्रॉम द 5 years क्वेश्चन. जितने कंटेंट 5 years से नहीं हो पा रहे, जितने क्वेश्चन नहीं हो पा रहे, दैट मीन्स मेरा कंटेंट वहां पे काफी नहीं है, वहां पे गैप है. आई शुड बी अटेम्प्टिंग दोस 5 years क्वेश्चन, जस्ट फाइंडिंग आउट वेर एवर आई एम लैकिंग. इंटरनेट सर्च कर लिया, किसी टॉपर की कॉपी देख ली, कोई किसी भी कोचिंग का मटेरियल देख लिया, एंड वो गैप को कवर कर लिया. एंड once I have all the content that is required to solve 5 years PYQ, I am done with that subject. मुझे इसके beyond जाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Because there will always be 1 or 2 questions that might come out of that, but that can never be predicted. Okay, आप कितना भी कर लो, it will never be predicted. So that's why the 5 years PYQ is the best guideline that you should be following while solving the or while preparing for the mains. Okay, so these are something that you should not be doing. The last advice from me is write, write and write. जितना हो सके उतना लिखो. ओके, जितना पेन आपका एग्जाम से पहले चलेगा उतना ही पेन आपका एग्जाम हॉल में चलेगा. if you are not writing right now, if you are just spending your time 80-85 days in reading, trust me, no matter whatever you have read, you will not be able to reproduce it in the exam. And if you are spending most of your time writing in these 80-85 days, trust me, the moment you see the question paper, your brain will bombard you with multiple points. You will have n number of things to write. Okay, it's just an analogical understanding that suppose if you want to participate in a sprint competition, Olympics में या कहीं पे भी आप sprint में participate करना चाहते हो, तो practice में what you should be doing is you should run only. There will not be any kind of advantage doing weightlifting and all such kind of things if you are supposed to participate in sprint. And यहाँ पे भी this exam is all about writing, and there will not be any significant advantage of reading. You should try to write as much as possible, okay, rather than read and read. So this is what you should be doing. Actually इसका एक logic भी है. I was just reading a book very recently, and it was talking about how are we able to recall something. So it says that for anything to be recalled in any situation, that particular information should have created some kind of event in your mind. It should be stored in some form of event in your mind, only then you will be able to recall it. And that event usually is created when we actually engage in some kind of conversations. So suppose if I am reading a book, if I keep on reading it chapter after chapter, after few days or 1 or 2 weeks, I will not be able to recall the summary of each of the chapter, not even the names of the chapter. Okay, what I will remember at max is the crux of the book, some of the central message of the book. That's it. But suppose if I do one thing, that after reading every chapter, I sit with my younger brother or sister and I just narrate the summary of whatever I have read in that chapter. And मान लो 10-12 chapters हैं, सबकी summary मैंने अपने भाई को बिठा के समझा दी. At any point of time in my life, I will be able to recall it because I have created an event while engaging in conversation with my brother. I have told him that summary. I remember the dialogue which I spoke to my brother while explaining that particular chapter. So it will always be there in my mind. So the conversations actually help you recall. तो दो तरीके हैं conversation establish करने के लिए. मतलब conversation का मतलब ये है कि आप सिर्फ input नहीं ले रहे हो. Reading just gives you the input to the brain. But that raw data needs to be processed, and then you should also do one form of output. And when the data goes through all these 3 stages, input, processing and output, it will always stay in your mind for a longer period. You will be able to recall it. So what you need to do is, when you read something, try to write it down. आप उसको एक बार लिख लो. And that is how you are establishing a conversation. आप brainstorm कर रहे हो उस पर, that is you are going for processing that data. And then after processing the data, you are actually trying to recall it or creating a conversation by writing it down. And that will create an event in your mind. And once you have written something, there is high likelihood that you will be able to recall it after a longer period of gap also. So just reading won't help you. Try to write as much as possible. And the more you write, the more you will be able to recall in the exam hall. Okay. So this is some basic tips that I believe will help you, and some basic strategies या schedule जो आप follow कर सकते हो, अपने हिसाब से थोड़ा बहुत modify कर सकते हो, that can help you prepare for the exam. That's it from my side. I'll just take few questions. I believe कि ज़्यादा questions है नहीं. One question is cutoff. I'm not pretty sure कि cutoff क्या जाएगी. It's a mere guess, but I believe the cutoff will be somewhere close to 90. Okay, and see, I am not an expert. पहले ही मैं बोल दे रहा हूँ कि I am not an expert. Whatever I am saying is based on a very limited sample size. कुछ 150 बच्चे मुझसे मिले हैं और उनके basis पे I am saying this, and it's all a gut feeling. Means completely a gut feeling with no logic behind it. So what I believe somewhere around 90 is the cutoff, but it's all a belief. I can be completely wrong. So all those who are scoring above 85, I believe कि आपको अपनी मेंस की तैयारी करनी चाहिए with full fledged effort, because you never know. I am not an expert. ना मैं भगवान हूँ कि मुझे पहले से ही पता होगा कि कट ऑफ क्या जाएगी. So this is all from my side. Thank you so much and all the very best to every student.